Good evening. Welcome to one more edition of the Kabbalah of Time. We are in week 25. Today was day 2, so we're doing book 2. So, book 2, the elements are Hazinu. We have Torah for Hazinu, which is the last song of King David. One of the 40 qualities to acquire the Torah, which are actually 52. One of the 48 prophets, which are actually 52. And one of the Levitical cities, which are 48, but are really 52. In terms of Hazinu, the verse goes as follows. Verse 25, from outside the sword will bereave, and terror from within, young men and maidens suckling babes with venerable elders. So, again, if directed towards the Jewish people, then that's very, very sad. If it's in a positive light, if it's directed towards Amalek, right, the enemies of the Jewish people, these are people that were evil from birth, right? The quintessential evil is Amalek, so then it's actually a positive thing. And it is very much parallel to the Purim story, which the Purim story is about the destruction of Amalek. We read the Parsha of Zachor right before Purim, which is to remember to destroy Amalek. And yes, and this idea of the sword will bereave. So, and the whole story of Purim happened as kind of like a tikkun, a rectification of what happened with King Saul. Right? King Saul did not kill Hagag, the king of the Amalekites. And Midrash says that in the meantime, between Saul not killing him and Shmuel later killing him, he was able to procreate. But what Shmuel says to him is very parallel here. What does he say? Shmuel the prophet says, as thy sword hath made women childless, so shall thy mother be childless among women. That's what he says right before killing Agag. Haman is called Haman Hagagi. And we hear people say boo. So boo. Anyway, so then they have Torah for this is the words of King David, and the Lord has recompensed me according to my righteousness, according to my cleanliness before his eyes. So again, the whole struggle with Amalek is the righteous against the wicked, right? And the word for before here is leneged, which can also mean against, right? And so before his eyes could be interpreted perhaps to mean before the one that is the one that is against his eyes, which is Amalek. While Amalek exists, the throne of God is not complete. So the quality to acquire the Torah for this week is Emunat Chachamim, which means faith in the sages, which is very interesting, which is like also very much related to the Purim story. And I guess it could be translated as faith of the sages, right? The sages themselves have faith, and the Rebbe's last mimer for Parshat Tetzaveh, which was given on Purim Katan, was about how Moshe is the Raya Mehemna, the shepherd of faith, and he provides faith to the Jewish people. It's from the Zohar. But also in the story of the Purim itself, what happened, right? Mordechai, you could say that everything happened because of Mordechai. Mordechai antagonized Haman, right? And then Haman wanted to destroy the whole Jewish people. So, isn't it? Rabbi Shalom Arush asks us, isn't it in a way Mordechai's fault? But really, the deeper understanding that no, Mordechai knew already there was a decree against the Jewish people. the fact that he stood strong actually gave the Jewish people an ability to resist, and the Jewish people did follow Esther and Mordechai's lead, and by congregating, by praying, by fasting, and all these things led to the redemption. The prophet is Micah the Morashite, and his words are very much related to Emunat Chachamim. There are many places where he's talking to the Chachamim directly, and to the heads of the Jewish people. And I said, "Hearken now, you heads of Jacob, and officers of the house of Israel." Says about the prophets that were misleading the people. So said the Lord concerning the prophets who mislead the people, my people. Later it says, hearken out to this, you heads of the house of Jacob, and you rulers of the house of Israel. Right, so it talks about its head, like Zion, its head, each one builds Zion with blood and Jerusalem with injustice. Its heads judge for bribes, and its priests teach for a price. Its prophets divine for money. Right? So all this, and it says, therefore, because of you, Zion shall be plowed as a field, Jerusalem shall become heaps, the Temple Mount like the high places of a forest. Unfortunately, this didn't happen, but these are very famous lines by Micah. There's also a different part towards the end that Micah talks about how to remember how God took us out from Egypt through the heads of the people, right through. For I brought you up out of the land of Egypt and redeemed you from the house of slavery, and I sent before you Moses, Aaron, and Miriam. So there's very much this emphasis on Emunat Chachamim. And as I was reading before, there's emphasis on Jerusalem also. And Jerusalem is the Levitical city for this week. It's interesting, right? Because Jerusalem, Yerushalayim, there's plurality there, right? There's also an idea, right? Each month is related to a tribe, and we are at the end of the tribe of Naphtali. Next week we're going into the tribe of Yehuda. It's like the very end of the Jewish month, the year according to the Jewish months. Naphtali, Adar is the last, and Yehuda, Nisan is the first. And so half of Yerushalayim falls next to Yehuda here in week 25, and the other half in week 9, which is the month of Kislev, which is Binyamin. That's where the other half of Jerusalem falls. Anyway, that's for a different time, this calculation, but anyway, so half of Jerusalem falls here, and the Jerusalem is also considered a city of refuge, like the temple itself is a city of refuge. And that's what we just read about all the how Jerusalem is prominent in the words of Micah, but also this idea of half of Jerusalem in the Megillah. That also it says, right? The end of Adar here is the last opportunity to give the half shekel to the upkeep of the temple in Jerusalem. In the Megillah, it says that Achashverosh was willing to give up to half his kingdom to Esther. What does that mean, up to half? Up to Jerusalem. So that's it for this week. And also, in Kislev, the week of Jerusalem is Gevura Shebegevura, right, which is like toughness, might within might. Here this week is Netzach Shebenetzach, victory, discipline, right? Victory, determination within victory and determination. So Netzach and Gevura have a certain similarity to them, and they're both pretty tough attributes. So we learned that, like Jerusalem, right? We'll be redeemed by fire. It's a fiery place. And we'll be able to be inspired by that and do everything we need to do to bring the final redemption, the reconstruction of the third temple in Yerushalayim. Have a wonderful week.